Hey guys, this is Danny Boy. So this is the final part of Rannoch. We will finally be able to move on, be done with the Geth. I'll be using the Wraith and the Eagle. And I really enjoyed this mission. I really enjoyed the last mission. I really enjoyed this mission. It was quite fun. All in all, it went very well. I don't believe I died at all. And it was just fun. It was relaxing. I don't know why in particular, but it was relaxing. I apologize for all of the ranting I've been doing for the last few episodes, but just some things I wanted to talk about. Some viewers seem to agree with me, at least to an extent, so... And of course, feel free to disagree. Feel free to comment, and I will gladly have a discussion about it. I do like talking to you guys. After this mission, I will be respeccing out of warp ammo, and I finally get defense drone. I've never used it before. I wasn't able to use it in my last playthrough, so I'm very excited to finally try that out. I haven't actually used it yet, even at the time of this video. But here's some plot. Be back in a bit.
The upper entrance. Target the base before the Geth can organize resistance.
What about you?
We will deactivate defense systems and acquire an escape vehicle.
You can do that?
This unit still carries remnants of the old machine upgrade code. We can break any Geth security. You are concerned.
You know your limits. I trust you. I'm more concerned you didn't tell me about the upgrades.
You were tolerant of our recovery of Geth intelligences from the server, but this matter is different. Personal.
You were ashamed.
We were not sure you would be pragmatic enough to appreciate the tactical value of these enhancements.
I know organics haven't done much for the Geth, but I'm trying to help you.
We did not intend to cause offense.
How'd we get here? The Geth are better than this.
No. Based on empirical evidence, they are not.
Yeah.
Proceed to the upper entrance. We will exit here and procure an escape vehicle.
Got it. Hey! Good luck.
Acknowledged.
I can't believe it. I don't think it's really sunk in yet. The home world. My world. Look at the sky. And the rock formations. They used to write poems about them.
When we're done, maybe you'll write a new one.
This is Rannoch, the world of our ancestors. Our bodies carried the seeds that spread the desert grass. You've heard me say, Kilasalai? The best translation I can come up with is, by the homeworld I hope to see someday.
Looks like you're seeing it today.
The living room window will be right here.
Something I should know?
I just claimed the land. I know it doesn't mean much, but when this is over, I'll have a home.
The Quarians spent centuries as nomads. You think you can go back to living in one place?
We have gotten used to carrying our homes around with us. Well, that's a start.
Alright. Plot out of the way. This is a long one. Very long one. Right now I'm just getting all my weapons ready to go and whatever. But let us see. Well, one thing that I can talk about is I have read, and players have told me that if they pre-ordered the Digital Deluxe Edition from Origin, and not only did they get the N7 weapons and the Raider and the Argus, but they also got the N7 Valkyrie and the Defender armor. And I was under the impression that you only got those if you pre-ordered from GameStop. But then again, I've looked at the Mass Effect wiki, Look at the Mass Effect wiki, by the way, if you ever have any questions about the game. It's very comprehensive. Those guys do a great job, and they've been around for years. Since the first game, actually. But looking at that, it's pretty ambiguous. It doesn't really specifically say that you get it from GameStop, especially when it comes to the Collector's and Digital Deluxe Edition. It seems like with those you should get everything. And I've read this in multiple places now, multiple viewers have told me. And I do not have an N7 Valkyrie, and I did email EA, and they got back to me and said, no, you shouldn't have it. I emailed them again, and talked about it some more. Maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't. If I should have it, though, kinda sucks that I don't. I suppose it could just be that EA made a mistake, and they gave the N7 Valkyrie codes to people who shouldn't have gotten them. But I would really like to get the weapon, not even because I really want to use it or anything, but more so just because I want to make a target practice and live fire video using it. I want that series to be as comprehensive as possible. That kinda sucks. We shall see how that goes. But right now, I don't have high hopes. But you never know. Worth being persistent. To talk more about new abilities that I wish enemy groups got over time, and just new tactics and strategies, you know, I ranted about that before. But I actually find it kind of fun to think about, you know, what new abilities could enemies have gotten over time? You know, what could they have used? And one idea I had was for Ravagers. You know, the Ravagers, they shoot the rockets and whatever. They're essentially artillery platforms. Well, Swarmers are not a huge threat. The only class that I've had any trouble with was just the Vanguard. I never actually had trouble. It's just they went from being completely inconsequential to being somewhat annoying. And by somewhat, I mean, like, on a scale of 1 to 100, they were a 1 on the annoying scale. So, why not make Swarmers actually a threat? If nothing else, they should at least be as much of a threat as combat drones were for engineers. Combat drones were really annoying in the previous game. For when the Solarian engineers used them. They knocked you out of cover, they stunned you. Could be really irritating. Well, why not make Swarmers along those lines? For one thing, they should move a lot faster. They shouldn't just meander towards you, waddle towards you. They should come... When they do reach you, 3 should reach you at a time, not just 1. 1's easy to deal with. They should have a group of them reach you. And, you know, have them attached to you and maybe stun you for a second, or have them even, like, explode or something on you. Organic explosion, kind of like Banelings from StarCraft 2. Swarmers should swarm you. I mean, as it stands, Ravagers are really not that big of a deal to deal with once you just understand their tactics and how they telegraph what they're going to do with those blue laser sights and everything. I feel like that would make them a bit more interesting. Maybe you guys have some better ideas than that, even. It has always bothered me that Ravagers and Harvesters operate almost exactly the same. Harvesters are just Ravagers that don't shoot out Swarmers, and they don't telegraph what they're going to do with blue lasers. And I think they fire their rockets more rapidly. But their rockets are exactly the same. And maybe that was by design that they were exactly the same, because they're supposed to be organic rockets or something, so they wanted them to be consistent across both of the enemy types. But I feel like Harvesters could have been made to be way more interesting than they actually are. Right now, they're just, depending on the mission, just dropships that drop a stream of enemies. And that they don't even do that on every mission that you encounter them. And otherwise, all they do is shoot you with rockets. That's all they do. Now granted, when you face 2 of them, it makes it very difficult to get shots off, because they shoot rockets really rapidly. But why do they have to shoot rockets at all? I mean, Ravagers already do that. Why do we need to have multiple groups that use the same sort of attack? Why not something more interesting? Maybe... what could they do? Well, they're called Harvesters. How about they are scripted enemies that when they drop down to maybe 3/4 health, they automatically will harvest one of your party members. Kind of like the Ruby weapon. If you ever played... I'm going way back in time here. If you ever played Final Fantasy VII, the Ruby weapon would automatically kill your party members in the fight. Maybe something similar to that. And I don't just mean kill, I mean the Ruby weapon wouldn't kill them, they would remove them, it would remove them from the fight entirely. So you had to solo him, essentially. Well, something similar. Say at 3/4 health, he removes your first party member. He just eats them, and once you... Something like Starship Troopers. He eats them, and then once you kill them, they are safe, and, you know, you can keep using them. But just... kind of like in scripted talking sequences, they just get blocked. You know, you can't use their powers anymore. They're no longer there. They're blocked. So it would use essentially that same script. So it eats them at 3/4, it eats one, and then once it's at half health, or maybe just a quarter health, it eats the second one. So you have to finish it off by yourself. You have to solo it at least to the end of it. Or you can make it even harder and just have him pretty much immediately, you know, at 3/4 health, takes out both party members. You need to solo him for the last 3/4 of its health. Something like that. Something that's reminiscent of its actual name. It harvests things. Or maybe it spits out enemies at a much more rapid rate, and it will, when you kill them, just re-harvest them and spit out more, and it'll heal it over time or something. I don't, again, want to make the fight impossible and take 10 hours to deal with them, but it needs to be made more difficult and more interesting. The Harvester, of all the enemies in the game, the Harvester should be a really interesting, cool, sort of mini-boss. And right now, it's not that at all. It's nothing. You don't feel like you're in an interesting fight when you face Harvesters. It's just another artillery unit that you have to deal with. What else could you do? Maybe the Harvester shoots out, again, little smaller drones or something. Like the Ravager, only they're flying drones rather than swarmers. And they do something. Maybe swarmers cling to you and stun you in groups, and then the drones that the Harvester shoots out explode on you, kind of like the exploding flyers in StarCraft 1. The Scourge flyers. Say they periodically shoot, rather than shooting out rockets, they periodically send Scourge flyers after you or whatever, you know, just organic flying units that you have to shoot out of the sky or they explode on you. And does decent damage to you. And not like a million of them. You can't expect players to shoot out 10 flyers every 2 seconds. But just 1 or 2, and make them move slow. Make them move like swarmers move now, just slow. Speed up swarmers, and make these new units just slowly work their way towards you. Or something. I don't know. I'm sure you guys could think of better ideas than that. Make them even just shoot out a huge nuke or something that will instantly kill you unless you're behind cover. Something like that. You know, periodically do that. Just a super... Maybe have them shoot out Reaper Black Star projectiles or something, and you need to be behind cover or you will die. And make the challenge the fact that they'll constantly spawn regular rank-and-file marauders and cannibals, or even just cannibals, and you need to ensure that you're not being flanked when they shoot out the big projectile of doom that will instantly kill you. And make it something that's very predictable. Something that you know is coming, because you don't want to be cheap and just have players die because of luck or something. Something like that. Maybe there should have been a sequence where you actually hopped on a Harvester's back and killed them in the air or something. Something interesting like that. That might have been cool. I don't know. Just some ideas. This is very easy. This is a bunch of regular guys. We're going to be facing some primes soon. But I didn't find this to be challenging at all. There's so much cover everywhere. It's wide and it's open, which can be tough for Vanguards because it allows anybody to shoot you no matter where you are, but there's so much high cover that it really wasn't an issue. All the way around. We're actually moving pretty far along in this video. We're getting near the end. There's one big sequence left. And that'll be it, really. What are some of your guys' ideas for abilities? What enemy types did you think were too weak that should have been improved?
Alright, I've hit the override.
I think, personally, that the biggest offender is probably the Reapers in terms of diversity. You do face them really early on, and it kind of sucks to go through the entire game, and cannibals are always cannibals, marauders are always marauders. Personally, I would have ditched that weird marauder buff that they give to husks and to cannibals. Just get rid of it. It's not very intuitive to players. I didn't even know how it worked for a very long time until I looked in the codex and actual commenters talked to me about it. Because it gives them pseudo armor on their health bars, but it doesn't actually give them a yellow bar to tell you that they have armor now. So I think all the way around that wasn't a very good idea. And it really doesn't make anything more challenging either. The cannibals eating other cannibals and other enemies is interesting and fairly cool, though then again, it also is very easily exploited, because a lot of times if you kill a cannibal out in the open, all the other cannibals will run from cover, cluster together, and just make them very easily dealt with. But maybe again that was by design. I mean, that does require tactics. That requires you to kill a cannibal out in the open on purpose, wait for other cannibals to get near them, and then kill them all. So it does require some coordination on the player's end. Maybe that isn't really bad design. Marauders, though, I feel aren't really interesting enough. They're just shielded cannibals that aren't as stupid. They take cover more readily, they do more damage, and they buff up other enemies, and it's fine that they buffed up their allies, but they should have done it in a more interesting way, I think. Maybe, again, clearly there's a theme here with just suicide units. I would have loved if it was something like in the previous game where there were suicide husks. Maybe the Marauder should have turned husks into suicide husks and had the husks explode on you. Something like that. That would have been a real threat, especially if the husks did enough damage. That would have really been a problem, and it would have made husks a lot more dangerous when they had Marauder backup. As it stands, husks are never very dangerous. I mean, the Marauders do buff them and give them armor, but it still doesn't make a significant difference to them to the point that they become scary or anything like that, at least in my opinion. And it really does depend on the class. They were certainly more irritating on my Engineer than on my Vanguard. Vanguards are tailor-made to dealing with husks, but then again, on my Engineer, they were still easily kited, easily maneuvered around, and by the end of the game, they're just not a threat. I remember in Sanctuary, just looking to see that the game was still on Insanity because I was killing husks so incredibly quickly. And they were so inconsequential. And it would have been a lot easier throughout the game if I had been spec'd into Cryoblast from the very beginning. Cryoblast just completely neuters husks and makes them nothing. At the very least, I mean, they're red bar now, but you can't just shoot them with a concussive shot or just pick them up with a pull and just instantly kill them like you could on lower difficulties in Mass Effect 2. Then again, though, I wish they hadn't changed their weakness spots either. Now, their weakness is basically just the head, whereas in the previous game it was really the legs and the waist, and using a shotgun to blow them in half. And I miss that. That was really cool. I miss multiple critical locations on enemies. I feel like they should have done that more, and they do to an extent. It's more for Cerberus than anybody else, though. Like Cerberus, the Phantoms, you can shoot out their swords. The mechs, you can shoot out their windows, their cockpits. But then again, by the time you shot out a cockpit, he's pretty much already dead anyway. That's kind of inconsequential. I'm making him angry, it seems. And here, I'm super close to a Geth Prime, and still, his drone doesn't seem to be doing anything. What does the drone do? Somebody tell me, what the hell does it do? I honestly am really curious. I want to know if it's just bugged, if it doesn't do anything, if it's just like it makes the Geth Prime feel happy. Maybe it's like a security blanket or something. He needs to have his little pet with him or something. I don't know. Okay, this was actually pretty cool. I enjoyed this next sequence. It's the 3 Prime sequence with the Spitfire, and I knew what was coming. That helps. Prior knowledge for the win. So I know to immediately sabotage one, then try to take out another one. I know they're going to close on me and do dirty things like that. I'm just trying to pick up the Spitfire. Finally managed to do that without getting gibbed. I actually died instantly, I believe, on my Engineer when I tried to do it. Spitfire is all about just making sure your target is locked down. I made sure to sabotage him so the other primes would attack him. He wouldn't attack me. It gives me plenty of time to take him out, with ammo to spare. And unlike in my Engineer playthrough, I am well aware that there is a second Spitfire. So this is my attempt to go get the second Spitfire. And I thought that further down here there was another passage that I could go down, but no, this is actually a dead end, which is really bad. I am totally just locked here. And I was hoping that maybe I could just kind of finish him off with this Spitfire and walk past him or something, but now both primes are going after me. And I need to get out of here, so I'm trying to figure out, can I? No, I definitely cannot. I'm moving back, trying to create distance, because they're closing on me at this point, so I'm trying to see an out, and oh, wait. There it is. Geth turret all the way on the other side of the room. Worked perfectly. And now I'm trying to find the freaking Spitfire. Where is the damn Spitfire? Almost die there. and I don't really know where they are. He's right there. He's closing on me. Use sabotage to get him to ignore me, and here we go. Perfect. And this is over. Spitfire is actually really powerful if you can just keep it on target for long periods of time. And that's that. This is over, guys. This is Rannoch. We are done. There is a huge cutscene at the end of this, but I actually turned it into its own video because it was so long and I didn't want to make this a 30-minute video. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.
This battle was centuries in the making. To see it finally end.
We'll get it done.